Hello,
Hello.
and welcome back to Wild Wild Sports.
It's been a minute
It has been quite some time
working.
working, just enjoying the summer.
Yeah, lots of basketball.
Lots of basketball.
There's so much to catch up
There's
on.
a
We've
lot to
missed
catch up.
you.
We have missed you all. I know people were missing us, asking for
Yeah,
our take on everything going on.
it's been crazy, but I hope you've at least tuned in and watched the Stud Buds.
Love the
That
stud
they if
buds.
they if you're missing our pod, the Stud Buds on
It's a close second.
is a close second. I mean, we're fans. We're
Yeah.
fans.
If you don't know, that's Courtney Williams and Natisha Heidemann of the Minnesota Lynx. They do Twitch streaming, which if you don't know what that is, that's okay. Our podcast is better, it's fine. But yeah, they're really funny, but unfortunately they lost last night.
They did. So I'm wearing my Lynx hat. This was a tough night for us because as geographically, we're closest to the Lynx.
Yes.
And the players that we've probably known the longest, or at least one player that we've been following the longest, would be Caitlin Clark from the Fever.
Mm-hmm.
I got to tell you, I'm playing fantasy. I've selected, how many do I have? Four? I have four players from the Minnesota Lynx on my fantasy team.
And she's kicking butt.
I am winning. And we also had the chance to go up and see the Lynx.
Yes, we did. We saw the Lynx play the Sparks a couple weeks
It
ago.
was fantastic. What a great atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going back up to see the Lynx
Yeah, I'm going to see the
again.
Lynx play the Valkyries. Which, pause. How do you feel about how well the Valkyries are doing? Are you like surprised or did you see this
I
coming?
did not see this coming. I mean, if you look at revenue or and just net, what do they call that? The worth of the team. We're talking they're blowing it out of the
Oh
water. I
yeah.
mean, 18,000 a night.
Constant sellouts, like
But when you read the roster, it's like, who are these people?
mhm.
For the most part, besides one player that we're very familiar with.
Caleb Thornton. No, I just no disrespect to Caleb.
No
That's not what I meant
disrespect.
at all.
No,
He
no.
is one of the best players on that team, but you know,
Money Martin is
we're Iowa fans around here, so
exactly
we are familiar with Kate Money Martin
right. But
and
they have a winning record now.
mhm.
They're in the top tier of the
Yep.
league. No, I don't think we'd see that coming for any expansion team, but it looks like we have lots of expansion teams
Lots
in
of
our future.
expansion.
So should we be like Sophie Cunningham and just like rip the cities apart?
It's
That
not it's not about the cities, and it's clear that, somebody in that city got together a bunch of money because they wanted to have a team, and I think that's great. Who wouldn't want to have a team?
Mhm.
But I do agree with Sophie Cunningham. She kind of came out and said, and is getting some hate for it. She kind of said that these maybe weren't the best cities to pick. If you don't know, they picked Philadelphia, which I think is a great choice actually, but they picked Philadelphia, um,
Cleveland.
Cleveland. She said Cincinnati, but I think it was Cleveland
Yeah.
and Detroit.
And Toronto.
Well, Toronto, yeah, that was already been
Toronto was
announced.
already decided.
And
Okay,
Portland too. Yeah.
sure.
But those three teams, those were the ones announced earlier this week. And I just don't know. Like, I think there's better markets out there. Like,
Am I right that both Cleveland and Detroit have had a WNBA team at some point?
oh, geez, that's a great question.
We'll research that.
Fact check us. I
Fact
think
check us, but I think they have. And so
they
I'm
probably
thinking,
have.
I'm thinking, because I heard the commissioner say, what's her name? Kathy?
Kathy.
Kathy's Cup. I heard that her say, we're glad to be back in
Mm.
Detroit, but glad to be back in Cleveland. I'm thinking, well, if you lost a team in the first place, maybe you're not the market. But the landscape has changed, so we'll have
Yeah.
to see.
I don't know. I think Nashville would have been a fantastic choice. Obviously, I'm biased in saying Kansas City.
But Kansas City has shown that they bring women's
Yep.
sports, with the soccer that they have
Hmm.
going, and then Chiefs fan kingdom and all of that. I mean, they're a sports going town, and they're so close to Iowa and Nebraska
Oh, yeah.
with no pro teams whatsoever. So, yeah, Kansas City
Very
would be,
untapped market.
it's an untapped market. So save your pennies, people.
Yep.
We'll all go
If
in.
you want to expansion team, you only have to put up $250 million.
They
It's
should
no
pay
big,
her to
no
follow
big,
her followers.
right?
Yeah.
So
What else has happened? So, we've had some movement with some players, just kind of happened in the night. It
a
was
breakup, a divorce.
a divorce. Yeah.
Tech. Like,
Poor Paige, what will she do
yeah.
now?
So if you don't know, DJ Carrington and Melissa Smith on the Dallas Wings are publicly in a relationship, and then Melissa Smith got traded to the Aces now
In exchange for a number 1 pick next
for
year.
a number one
So
pick.
clearly the Aces, who have been struggling this year, struggling is not the right word. They just haven't, well, I guess it is the right word. They haven't been winning as much.
Well, yeah,
As you know, they're looking to three-peat last year, and now this year they're they're not doing as well. So they needed something to spark them somehow. And it's, hats off to Melissa. Her production has been hit and miss. I've seen her play quite a bit better this year
yeah.
for the Wings than I saw her with the Fever. Also speaking of the Fever and movement. So anyway, we'll see how that goes. But can you imagine? Okay, you're moving. That's just how it goes. That's life in professional sports, I guess. And same thing with Van Loo from
Oh,
Valkyries.
that one,
That hurts.
that hurts. I understand it's business. You want to keep Caitlyn Jen on your roster because she performs so well. I understand, but you need to do it before Julie Van Loo gets on that 18-hour flight and leaves her celebration for winning the Euro Cup with Belgium. Like she should have stayed there and celebrated if she was getting waived.
Yeah, that's really sad.
So
I
that's
don't like
rough.
that. So Valkyries, you got to be careful.
Gotta be
You
better,
got to be
guys.
better to your
They're
people.
humans too.
That's right. There's a lot of emotion that goes into this.
Hmm.
The Fever are also dealing with the loss of a player
Yeah.
that has sparked a lot of conversation online. That Dewana Bonner
Mhm.
was waived and is looking for a new team. So everybody has opinions about what went on,
Yeah.
but I don't think we have any substantiated, here's why she's leaving the Fever explanation. We have one thing from her where she said that
She's
the
gonna
disrespect,
Twitter.
I'm not a quitter, and the disrespect has
Let
been
the
very loud.
Yeah, let the apologies be as loud as the disrespect.
And she has certainly, our other source for this podcast would be the Stud Buds, and the Stud Buds said that this is just not like her.
Hmm.
And so she's been in the league for what is it now, 13, 15 years, something like
Something like
that.
that.
She's a veteran who's won in multiple places, really hadn't found her groove with the Fever, and we just don't know. And so I think we're probably safest to just stay over here on don't know.
Hmm.
But I think we can share what some folks have been saying.
Yeah. So, I mean, Dewana Bonner is a all-star.
Mhm.
She's been on all-star teams and she's typically been a starter for like most of her career. And then, she comes to Indiana and starts a couple games, but kind of gets kicked out of the starting lineup. I think it's just because Lexi Hole was performing so
Mhm.
well.
Mhm.
And so people think that not starting, coming off the bench, was not what DeWanna Bonner was expecting or looking for in a
Or
new
what
team.
she had been promised, which I
Yeah.
sincerely doubt that anybody's promising anybody any kind of like you're going to start.
Yeah.
Because there's just that's such YMCA kind of mentality to me to think about like, oh, starting mean well, actually it's not even YMCA. It's more like there's no there's no glory in starting there. I mean, I suppose some people think there is, but a lot of teams will mix up. If you watch nightly, they mix up their starting lineup. It's not like here's our five best and this is all we got. They think about opposite personnel. So I
Hmm.
just don't buy that argument that her not starting somehow was a factor in her deciding to leave. I heard rumors that it was some sort of, locker room, not jiving, not feeling like other team members had her back.
Mm.
What other things have you, in terms of like fan hatred and, whatever, what other things have you heard?
Oh, geez, I don't know. I mean, I've heard that she wants to go to the Mercury, which is where her fiance plays.
And my understanding there would be she would know full well that the Mercury would have to bump somebody off their roster.
Mm-hmm.
And if she's at $200,000 a year,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe that's not important to her, but she has to cost something. Her salary is an expense. And the Mercury is one of the biggest surprises this year.
Yeah, they're doing really well.
They're doing very well. Were they 12-4 or something like that? So they're contenders. That would seem odd for them to engage in this kind of trade right now with everything that's going well.
Yeah.
No offense to Bonner,
Right.
no offense to anyone, just that seems odd. But I mean, odd things happen in this league all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Well,
officiating is terrible.
oh, geez. Well, with Bonner and the Indiana Fever, I think one positive thing out of the situation, at least from a Fever perspective, is definitely Ari McDonald. Oh my gosh, she is playing.
Small. And
Oh, she's like what, 5'6"?
Yeah. And so, that's a normal sized woman, actually a tall woman. And look how she looks out there.
She does look quite small. Yeah, she's even shorter. She's shorter than Courtney Williams and Natisha Heidemann.
Yes, she is.
But she's playing really well. I think
Mhm.
it was a great pickup for the
Yeah.
Fever. And I mean, they won the Commissioner's Cup last night.
They did. Let's talk about it.
Without Caitlin Clark.
Without Caitlin Clark. So the game otherwise, what were your impressions?
I don't no, I mean, not to put the Fever like down or diminish it in any way, but the Lynx just did not look like the Lynx.
I've never seen them look like that.
Mm-mm.
And I've been watching the Lynx consistently now all season. That was by far their worst game.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen them play anywhere near that level before. And shoot so poorly and so many turnovers.
So many turnovers.
And so, yeah, I don't know what happened, but we could credit Fever defense.
Mm-hmm.
What else could we credit?
Natasha Howard.
Mhm.
She had a great game, and I think that goes to show because like she had some rough games earlier in the season, and fans, maybe not fans, maybe haters, online trolls were like, oh, we shouldn't have picked her up, all this, that, and the other thing, and then she has a really good game. So, I mean, obviously nobody should be hating online at all. Like these players are human, but also just like watch your mouth because you might not know what you're talking about. We say that all the time. Like I'll be like, oh, don't shoot that or something. I'll say something, and then the play will work out. And then we always say, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I never have.
So yeah, I was gonna say don't listen to us, but please listen to us because this is a podcast, and that would be the point.
Yes.
So, but we do try to approach this with some humility, other than spouting off like we see online with people who watch one game or one team for that matter. That kind of frustrates me when you talk about. Let's talk about the All-Stars.
Okay.
So the All-Star selection. I need to get off of the socials and see what these people
You were
say.
saying good about not going on.
I was off social media for like 2 months. It was the best. I don't know. I should probably do that again. But the people that are saying so many horrible things about the guards or the way the WNBA is that who's on the phone?
Oh, my
Is
other
that
mom.
Kate Martin?
No.
Oh, I was just curious. That was what I was going for. So, what was I saying? Oh, the guards. So the WNBA All-Star selection, the players get to select their All-Stars as well. And they get to select 4 guards. And so in the overall, they don't rank them. They don't say 1, 2, 3, 4. They just select.
Just like how we did.
Yeah, here's your 4 guards. And so that means that some players left Caitlin Clark off the top 4 guards. Well, let's think about this year. So this year, where she's been out for 6 games now, I believe, maybe 7. And you played half the time. You lead the league in turnovers, 6 per game, 29% from the 3-point line. I can think of 4 guards that are performing better. And so if this is about, and it's just like anything, you players don't. I would imagine, and again, players would have to correct me here, but I would imagine they don't spend every waking minute watching all the other games. They watch the film that they have to. And then, they play so much. When are they gonna have time to do
Hmm.
that and still make the Stud Buds podcast or whatever? So, I mean, they're going to look at stats and they're going to think about what they experienced. So you have a few teams that had, the full Caitlin Clark. Oh my goodness, what can we do
Hmm.
about her? And then you had other teams where she was not that effective. So I think everybody that's crying or sad that Caitlin Clark was ninth in overall selection by her peers need to take a breath and let's get over this conspiracy of the jealousy
Yeah.
and all of that. I think that is very much something that is generated over here in Twitter, sorry, X. I see I'm far behind. Over here on the socials by folks that aren't as invested in just seeing the league as a whole. And they want to see, and then they want to see things like we saw a couple weeks ago with the big blowout between the Sun when Sophie Cunningham stepped up and was the enforcer.
Hmm.
I think that's the stuff that gets the headlines, and that was fun. I have to admit,
Yeah.
I enjoyed that immensely.
Hmm.
But I think that this is overblown about other player jealousy. I just don't. I don't get that vibe, and I don't see it as a slight that she got ninth in terms of the number of players that voted her. That means several players, or some, did not put her in the top four.
Hmm.
Well, again, I'll go back over the stats and it's pretty clear. Plus, she's been injured.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean she's not going to end up, in the running for MVP if she can get
Yeah.
healthy.
Yeah, I think the player jealousy is way blown out of proportion and it's just like so negative and toxic and not true.
Mhm.
And I think it has a little bit to do with like, oh, women are catty and women are
Yeah.
petty and it's a little
Is it
sexist in my
misogyny? That's a stud bud
Yeah.
joke. They
Um
didn't know what it was.
and
They pretended they didn't.
right. They do know what they have degrees. They both went to college. But
Yeah.
anyway, if Caitlin Clark had been like not selected as an all-star at all because of this, I understand like then being up in arms about it.
Mhm.
Caitlin Clark is an all-star captain. We can all chill out. Like
Right.
it is not going to change the all-star game whatsoever. And a couple of years ago, Sabrina Ionescu ranked the 19th best guard in the league by her peers. And I don't think they would say that anymore. So it's just it happens that when players rank each other. It's really got I don't think it has anything to
Yeah.
do with
How
jealousy.
objective can you possibly be? It's kind of odd that they have.
Right. For who I think is the best. No, I'm voting for who is my favorite. Like that.
Yep, exactly. And I
And
put tons of links on there. Well, because they are my favorites.
Mhm.
When the Lynx don't play like they did last night, the Lynx have been, to me, the most exciting team to watch.
Yeah, yeah. So no games tonight, but games start up again tomorrow. Make sure you tune in. It's going to be a fun rest of the season, and we will try to be better at podcasting.
Absolutely.
All right. See y'all.
See ya.